This is the Easy Living Yards podcast. I'm your host that loves a good dad joke, Ben Hale. Let's jump in and learn how to have a healthy, beautiful yard with less work so you can enjoy more time doing what you love. What's up and welcome to episode 30 of the Easy Living Yards podcast. Today we are going to talk about living with passion and purpose. I'm sure what you're thinking, or if you're not thinking about this, now you're going to be thinking about it, is what the heck does living with passion and purpose have to do with taking care of your yard? Well, taking care of your yard doesn't necessarily have to do anything about living with passion and purpose. But if you live with passion and purpose, how you take care of your yard is incredibly important because it allows you to live with passion and purpose based on how you take care of your yard and how you perceive your yard in your landscape in the world around you. And so that's what we're talking about today. Now, today's going to be a little bit of a different episode if you haven't guessed that already. We're not going to be talking about specific things to do with your yard. I'm not going to be talking about specific plants or anything like that. Instead, I'm talking about how you perceive the world and what the world means to you, what your life means to you. And that's really deep stuff. It might seem kind of woo-woo or whatever, but it's really, really important that we all figure out to us individually what is our purpose or what's our passions in life. And how do we live toward those passions? And to me, that's very, very important, and I want to share some of that with you today. Now, I don't know how the audio is going to turn out today. I actually chose a really nice outdoor spot to record this podcast. The wind's blowing through the trees above me right now. I'm not too far from an interstate, so you might hear some semi-trucks going on in the background. Hopefully it turns out okay. But as I look above me, I have 3 beautiful shade trees rustling in the wind above me, and it's very nice and relaxing. So today I don't really have much of an outline to go off of or anything, so it's going to kind of just be like a freewheeling podcast episode. And with that, I also want it to just really be from the heart for you guys as well. And so that's kind of where it might be a little spotty. It might sound like rambling, but trust me, I never ramble. It's always for a purpose. That's a little tongue-in-cheek, of course. And so hopefully I come full circle enough with things for you to really resound with you and to help you just kind of take a step back and consider what things in your life mean to you and what sort of passions you may have in your life, what sort of legacy you might want to leave behind, and how that all ties together and how it affects how you deal with certain day-to-day things, such as taking care of your yard, and also how you design your yard to enable you to live more passionately, more fully, and with more purpose. And there are certain ways we can do that, of course. So before that, in the intro, I also mentioned that I love a good dad joke. And man, it's driving me crazy because I had one that popped into my head yesterday that I just kind of made up. And it was awesome. And I didn't get to share it with anybody. And now I forget it and it's driving me crazy. But I do have this wonderful one that my cousin brought up to me the other day because we took my boys to go see a herd of buffalo that's local to us, and they had a blast just looking through their little binoculars at this tiny herd of buffalo roaming through some remnants of Midwestern prairie that's been kind of reconstructed for these buffalo. So anyway, with all that context, the wonderful dad joke I have for you today is, what did the dad buffalo say to his son when he was leaving for college? Bye, son. All right. All right, with that out of my system, let's get back to it. So why am I talking about this today? Why am I talking about purpose and talking about living with passion and identifying your passions today? Well, quite honestly, I was actually supposed to record this podcast episode yesterday, or a podcast episode yesterday, and I was just kind of bummed out, to be honest. I was having kind of a rough day, and I really just couldn't figure out what to sit behind the microphone and talk about. So I'm just being brutally honest here, and I was just sitting down trying to think about, what was really going on in my head, and why was I not feeling very excited or pumped or jazzed, and why was I having trouble coming up with some topics as well. So as background for you newbie folks out there, I generally pre-record these podcasts, and what I talk about here is how to design your yard and your life to be beautiful and healthy with less work, so you can enjoy a lot more time doing the things you love. And so we're talking about that piece today, doing the things you love. And that's how this all ties together. And this is really important to me. So in reflection as to why I was maybe a little bummed out yesterday, is I was just kind of it was a Monday yesterday, and I was kind of having a case of the Mondays, I guess, if anybody gets that Office Space reference. And, it just drives me crazy coming into an office. So I do have, again, some more background here. I have a full-time job, so this podcast is actually kind of my side hustle, and my design work and my consultation is my side hustle right now, and so I love doing what I do aside from my main job, and that's on top of trying to be a good father, a good homeowner, and everything like that too, and a good husband, of course. And so, of course, there's a very small amount of time I'm able to dedicate towards each thing. And so I was at my full-time job yesterday, and at least 3 or 4 times, it felt like so many times, people came in saying, like, oh, how's your day today? And I heard the response, oh, it's Monday, but I'm here. And that just really gets me down when I hear that, because it means so many people aren't really working toward a purpose or their passions, and they're just kind of like letting life lead them and to somebody else's goals. And I don't want that to be you. I don't want that to be me. And when I hear that, it kind of makes me feel the same way. Is how am I working toward my vision in life and my passions? And so at the same time, I feel like we all have this tendency toward minutia and complexity, and also just the day-to-day, and we really have a hard time stepping back and looking at kind of the big picture or the vision. And this is with the projects I was working on yesterday in my team, but life is the same way. We think about Johnny's soccer practice and Susie's baseball game or whatever. Susie can play baseball, and we get so caught up in the day-to-day stuff, and we don't think about, okay, which, some of that stuff's very important, but we don't step back and think about, okay, in between those busy pieces, what are we doing to steer our life in the direction we feel called to steer it? And so I want to turn around that, that feeling that I had yesterday of kind of being bummed out, a little down, I guess, into something that's constructive and something that's helpful for all of us. And so, yeah, let's just kind of jump in and talk about that some more. So for me personally, I kind of have this belief of what we do matters. And I hope you share that belief somewhat. And maybe that's something kind of in the back of your head, but I really want to bring that out to the forefront and saying that at the end of our life, what we do does matter, and hopefully we've done enough with our life to make it matter to either someone or something or some greater purpose. And I don't want to necessarily get spiritual with this episode, because we each have our different spiritual beliefs, but I think altogether there's still something to be said about leaving behind a legacy and leaving behind something positive, as opposed to something that's necessarily just kind of lost in the wash water or forgotten quickly. And so for me, that's really what drives me to have started the Easy Living Yards brand, and to really work toward making a positive impact on all of our landscapes and all of our lives through that. So to me, that is a core purpose of what I'm doing with this show, and with my company as a whole. So I guess kind of what I'm reflecting on here is that I want to at least give us all a moment to think about what is our life vision, or our purpose, or our passions. And those are all kind of a little bit intertwined somewhat, but they're also teased out from each other. And the way I perceive it is passions or passion are the thing or things that really make us just get up with excitement and with energy to do something. And passions are those things, that those activities or engagements that we engage in that we can get totally lost into and lose track of time and feel, just have that internal positive, like warm, whole feeling. Those to me are what passions are. And so they're generally speaking, for me, they're activities or types of things to do that resound with us. And so for me, example of a few of my passions, I feel like I have many passions, but a few of my big ones are being outside, being in the outdoors, and physically doing something outdoors. So that could be anything from hiking to just gardening or working outside, and just to kind of something that puts me in touch with nature. That's one of my passions, if it's not already apparent. So that's an example. And so those to me are what passions are. Purpose is a greater goal. And to me, it's much harder for me to tease out purpose and vision. So I'll kind of just leave them together. And for me, vision is kind of like an overall or a few overall inspiring or aspirational goals to strive toward with life. And to me, these are kind of longer term things. So passions are activities that may help me work toward my aspirational goals, which are my vision. And so to me, a vision is something that you strive toward making a change or a difference or some sort of legacy or impact. So this is where it's, what do you want to leave behind as your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for? And so it's kind of like taking a step forward to when we are no longer here and looking backward at our life, taking a look backward from the future and what's our impact? And to me, that's very important. And so I have a few versions of kind of what I've teased out as my life vision, but just as an example for me, one thing is to leave a positive impact on the world through helping build better food systems in the world with local food movements, as well as leaving a positive impact in the world environmentally. And so you're probably sitting there thinking, well, what's that have to do with your yard? Well, not directly anything, but indirectly, a lot of what I teach here not only saves you time and saves you energy to pursue your own life vision, which to me is very important, but it also is more environmentally sound. And so it does work toward my life vision as well as yours at the same time. And that to me is very important and fundamental into why I have built Easy Living Yards the way I have. So I really hope that you take some moments, if you haven't gotten clarity on your life vision and some of your passions in life, that you do so. And this isn't something where you can just kind of flip a switch and figure this stuff out. This is a lifelong effort, because your passions and your vision will most likely change over life. And I actually would put in more certainty that they will, because as individuals, we change and we develop and we grow throughout our lives, especially if we're living an awake life. And what I mean by that is being awake enough to be aware and to learn what is our vision, what are our passions, and to work toward those. So if you're being active in that regard, then most likely this will change over time as you grow, you could develop, you experience new things or new parts of life, or you experience different parts of the world. That all changes you. And so those are the things where it really helps tease out what is your vision in life and also adjusts that as you go. So if this is something that's totally foreign to you and it just seems kind of crazy that I'm talking about it, I do have something that can hopefully help you and about living with passion. So there's a short article I wrote a little bit ago about living with passion, and it has a short exercise at the end of it to help you kind of understand what are your passions and what's your life vision. And this is a very short exercise that really you could spend weeks and weeks kind of reflecting and building this and still maybe never figure it out. So this is a short exercise to help you get started on this path, and I'm not guaranteeing you that you figure things out, but what I do guarantee is that if you open yourself up and start reflecting and thinking about some of this, that you will grow. And that's what we all want to be doing, is continually growing and developing and striving to be better. And so you can check that out if you want at ELY.how. That's ELY.how/passion. PASSION. And that will take you right to this article I'm talking about, where it has that exercise. Of course, I'll also have a link in the show notes if you just want to check out the show notes. Now, the wind's blowing quite a bit here, so hopefully the audio is coming out okay. But man, I am quite comfortable sitting under these beautiful shade trees. It's such a beautiful day, and I hope you guys are having a beautiful day as well. So let me just kind of talk about a few things I did jot down that may help you in your reflection. For one, I'm sitting up here kind of preaching a little bit, but that's not how I mean it to come off. And by no means am I an expert in this area, of identifying passion and vision and life purpose. This is very deep stuff. And like I said earlier, it's kind of, sounds kind of a little wishy-washy or woo-woo, but it's not. It just makes us uncomfortable a little bit to think about this or to talk about this, because it's not something that's generally brought up. And it's something that's fundamentally important to our lives. And so I really recommend, if this just seems kind of weird to you, just to kind of open your mind up and start to think about some of this, because this may be most impactful to you. So while I don't claim to be an expert, I don't even claim to be an expert at being myself. But you know what? I'm the best person in the world at being myself. And you are the best person in the world at being yourself. And why do I say I'm not an expert at being me? Well, because to me, when I hear the word expert, I hear somebody that's stopped growing and developing as fast as they used to. You have to learn an awful lot to become an expert at something. And I don't want to ever be an expert, because I want to be continually learning. And so when it comes to myself, I don't want to be an expert at being myself, because I always want to be learning and growing and developing. And I hope you strive for the same. So that's what I'm hoping this episode helps you to do, is to exponentially propel us forward to grow and develop into living with more purpose and to growing and making a greater impact. Now, I kind of mentioned that this isn't really like flipping a switch. Instead, this is something, you can make drastic changes to live more passionately or live with more vision. And if that's something that's right for you, I strongly recommend you do that. However, for most of us, this is something where taking small measures every day to move toward a more passionate and meaningful life is something that is more in tune with what we're capable of doing. So for example, right now, I'm married. I have 3 children, 3 wonderful children, right? I can't just up and decide that because of my life vision, I'm called to, sail a boat around the world and reflect on the world and what the ocean means to me. I can't really just up and do something like that. So that's what I mean. Instead, what I can do, and don't worry, that's not my intent right now. I was just trying to think of some example. Instead, what I can do is every single day, wake up and think about how I can move myself and my family forward to live more passionately and with better clarity of vision and move toward our life vision. So, we as a family have a collective life vision, as well as each of us individually has our own life vision to work toward as well. So the best for our family is to figure out how we can all move closer to our each individual visions in a way that's helpful for all of us. And so that's what we try to do every single day. And just in the smallest measures, taking a little bit of time, spending a little bit of effort, or even just creating a little bit of space to reflect. Those are all ways to live more passionately in your day-to-day life. So, again, I want to reiterate, what are your passions? And again, if this is something that you need help with, check out the article I wrote over at ely.how/passion. And I don't claim to be the best resource on this. So if you just kind of start searching around for living more passionately, living a better life, you'll find all sorts of resources. And unfortunately, a lot of them are not the greatest. And also a lot of them are trying to sell you a bunch of stuff. And so I'm not going to list any specific resources, because I don't think there's just one set resource or guru for for everybody. You have to find out what person seems right with you, what person seems honest to you, and to give a good message in a way that resonates with you well. And so that's why I kind of just created my own little resource here to at least get you started and give you a first little step. And it's something you don't have to worry about me selling you a bunch of stuff or anything like that, because this is kind of just a very important thing to me. I think it ties into how you live on your property and with your yard every day. But this isn't my single focus of business. Instead, this is the thing that is enabled by taking care of your yard properly. Okay? So, again, what are your passions? And do you have a vision for your life? Do you have kind of a message that resonates with you of what sort of legacy you want to leave behind? And if not, I strongly encourage you to try and articulate those things, to start to become clearer on those things, because those things really make you, or help enable you to live with much more purpose in this world and to make a greater impact positively on this world. And so I'm just going to kind of wrap up with my preaching with just a couple questions. And then I also want to share with you something about my business and how it helps me work toward my vision. Excuse me. So for you, what do you want your life to mean? And what legacy do you want to leave behind? Start there. Start figuring out, what is your life vision? What are your passions? When do you seem to feel whole? When do you feel complete? When are those moments where you get lost? But in a good way? What are those moments where you feel like everything is perfect? Those are great indicators of figuring out what your passions are, and those passions point toward your life vision. And so for me, I haven't really talked much about this with Easy Living Yards, but for Easy Living Yards, in order to help me work toward my vision and what I feel like my impact on the world is, I've learned a design style, the stuff I've been teaching you guys, that has a positive environmental impact on the world. It reduces our chemical use that damages our planet, has very widespread effects. It reduces the amount of work we need to do, so it frees up each of our individual times. that we have available. We have very limited time available in this busy, busy life, right? So any little bit of time I can free up for you is a positive impact I've made on the world. So first and foremost, I want to thank you for being here, to being open, to help me improve the world little by little. So we are improving the world by making a positive change on the environment and making a positive change on each of our individual lives by saving time that we can put towards something more meaningful and more important in this world. Whether that's your family, whether that's your life vision, whether it's the chance to just breathe and reflect on the world. Every one of those things is very important, and I'm very thankful that you're working to change the world for the positive through your small actions. And trust me, your little impact that you feel like, however small it seems on your own landscape, however small it seems on my landscape, it does matter. Because when we collectively do this and work toward building a positive change, our small collective actions add up to making a big, big change. And so likewise, I've made a commitment. It's only been on my About page now. So if you want to check out more about me, you can go over to ELY.how/about, and you'll learn more about me and also what I'm just about to talk about here. And that is, I donate 10% of my total revenue for people and planet causes. So that's not 10% of profit, but 10% of sales. So everything that comes in the door that I earn through Easy Living Yards, 10% of it I donate to causes that I feel make a positive impact on people and on the environment. So again, some of the things that I look to donate to are things that provide food independence through local and healthy food movements. I look to make a positive impact on social welfare and healthy families through grassroots efforts. I also look to help provide a healthy childhood for all children, including physically, cognitively, and very importantly to me, emotionally. So I look for various causes, various people that are working to make a positive impact through their own life vision that resonates with my personal life vision as well. And so I thank you if you look to working with this with Easy Living Yards, that 10% of all of my sales go towards these positive impacts. And to me, that is incredibly important. So likewise, I want to ask you, what's the positive impact you can make in your life, or that you strive to make in your life? And it doesn't have to be monetarily. It could be money. This could be time. This could be effort, or even thought that you put towards something. And it could be action. So what are you doing to make a positive impact? I really want you to reflect on that and consider. And to come full circle, how are you going to be able to do that? Whether it's time, whether it's money, or effort. Well, this is where what I teach here at Easy Living Yards becomes incredibly important. Instead of being out mowing the lawn or pulling weeds, you could be doing something more important. And that, to me, is everything. So I want to help you better design your landscape in a way where you don't have to be a slave to your landscape. Instead, it can be a positive space where you and your family can escape to learn and grow and develop. And that, to me, is everything about Easy Living Yards. And so, guys, if this resonates with you, I want you to check out all the awesome resources I've provided through the various podcast episodes, through all of the stuff on the website over at easylivingyards.com or ELY.how. And if you feel like you need some help making a quantum leap forward with your landscape, I also offer consultation. So you can check out ELY.how/consulting. And there, you can look for ways to connect with me. Likewise, if you just have some questions to get started, something easy that you need help with, or something difficult that you need help with, you can always ask a question over at ELY.how/pod, P-O-D, and right at the top there, you'll see a button to get in touch with me. And with that, guys, I want to say a special thanks today for tuning in, and make sure you live with passion and make tomorrow better than today.